What happened Sunday at Akashur Stadium was more than just a bad loss. It was the kind of defeat that drained something deeper, not just the energy of a fan base, but the belief, the confidence, the faint idea that things might turn around. Seahawks Trent and Uno, Steelers Desicine. And sure, on the scoreboard that looks like a beating. But even that number doesn't fully capture how completely the Steelers were outclassed in all three phases. This wasn't just about execution. It was about approach, stubbornness, and the kind of coaching decisions that make you wonder if change is even part of the vocabulary anymore in Pittsburgh. There's no way to sugarcoat what happened out there. The defense was porous, the offense predictable and inefficient, and the special teams? Let's just say they probably wish there wasn't any film on this one. From the opening kickoff, it felt like the team wasn't just behind on the scoreboard. They were behind in mindset, in intensity, and in adaptability. And while the injuries are piling up, Alex Highsmith and Isaiah Loudermilk now joining the already long list of walking wounded. What's even more alarming is how little accountability or strategic shift seems to follow these performances. Jaylen Warren was one of the very few bright spots. Every time he touched the ball, it felt like something could happen. He ran with urgency, with vision, with power. He looked like a spark, a guy trying to will something into existence. And yet, what do we see? More touches for Kenneth Gainwell. More of the same distribution we've seen through 2 weeks. And why? That's the part that really sticks. It's not just about who's playing well. It's about who's been anointed. It's about decisions made in Latrobe back in training camp that seem carved in stone now, regardless of what the eye test or the scoreboard is screaming. When you look across the roster, it's hard to find anyone, outside of Warren, who didn't have at least one minus in their column. Offense, defense, coaching staff, everyone had a hand in this one. And sure, you can say that's football. That's a team game. That nobody's perfect. But this didn't feel like a team making mistakes while trying to figure things out. This felt like a team unwilling to admit anything needs to change, unwilling to adjust, unwilling to self-correct. The most damning thing about this game wasn't a single fumble, missed tackle, or blown coverage. It was the predictability, the passive posture, the refusal to pressure Sam Darnold, even as the Seahawks kept landing on 3rd and long. They didn't disguise looks. They didn't blitz. They didn't throw anything confusing at a quarterback who has never exactly been known for thriving under pressure. And why? That's where it gets really maddening. Because to admit that would be to acknowledge that maybe, just maybe, the week 1 approach wasn't the right one. And in this building, apparently, that kind of humility is off limits. This is where the hopelessness starts to creep in. When you realize that the coach isn't going to change, no matter how obvious the problem becomes. When you realize that the desire to stick to the original plan outweighs the need to win. And look, no one's saying coaching is easy. Injuries matter. Player mistakes matter. But when the things you can control, scheme, personnel usage, game management, remain untouched week after week, what are we really doing? You can see it in the little things. Like why Warren continues to play second fiddle to Gainwell, even after proving repeatedly that he's the more effective back, or why the defensive staff refused to move TJ Watt around the formation even as teams continue to run away from his side and exploit the gaps in the middle, or why rookie Peyton Wilson, who clearly is not ready to handle a full workload against starting caliber NFL talent, keeps getting trotted out there while more experienced options sit on the bench. It's not just stubbornness. It's ego. It's the kind of pride that turns coaching into a personal vendetta against common sense. And the most frustrating part is that you can feel the potential in this team. You can see the talent in flashes, in a Warren burst, in a Herbig pick, in a Cam Hayward pass deflection. But they're flashes, nothing sustained, nothing that builds, and nothing that ever seems to alter the direction of the ship. Even after this loss, when Tomlin was asked directly if he had seen enough from Warren to justify a bigger role going forward, his answer was vague, hedging, non-committal. I'm certain he can. I know he had a good week of work. That's it. No conviction. No statement of intent. No hint that he'd do anything different. And if you followed Tomlin long enough, you know what that means. Nothing's changing. Not next week. Not the week after that. You'll see the same defensive looks. the same rotations, the same personnel groupings, even when it doesn't work, even when the results are staring everyone in the face. Because changing course would mean admitting something was wrong. And in this version of the Steelers, that's apparently a bigger sin than getting beat by 2 touchdowns in your own house. And then there's the offensive approach, the play calling, the refusal to exploit the middle of the field on either side of the ball. It's like there's an invisible wall from hash to hash, where both the offense and defense are afraid to engage. Meanwhile, teams like the Seahawks just feast on that soft underbelly, knowing there will be no adjustment, no counter, no answer. When Jackson Smith-Njigba, the very same receiver the Steelers passed on in the draft, starts carving up a defense, it's not just a bad matchup. It's a reminder, a symbol of decisions made and of opportunities missed. And when you watch Broderick Jones continue to struggle at left tackle, while better options sit or shuffle around, it becomes clear this isn't about merit. This is about investment, about not wanting to admit that maybe the draft strategy wasn't perfect, that maybe the roster management wasn't flawless. And that's what starts to pull the air out of the room. Because when fans start to realize that performance is secondary to perception, that playing time is based more on narrative than results, the hope starts to wither. Not because you lost a game, teams lose, but because it doesn't feel like anything will be learned from it. That the same guys will line up next week in Foxborough, doing the same things, running the same concepts, making the same mistakes. You don't bench Caleb Johnson after 2 bad games. Of course not. He's young. He can still grow. But if you don't change the way he's used, if you don't give him support, if you don't adjust the scheme to help him, then what are we doing here? You want development? Then coach like it. Put him in positions to succeed. Protect him when needed. Scheme around his learning curve. But pretending like he's already a finished product and leaving him out there to drown, that's not coaching. That's denial. And that, more than anything else, is what makes this version of the Steelers so hard to watch right now. Because it's not just the losing. It's the sense that we're watching reruns. The same issues, the same excuses, the same lack of urgency. There's no desperation, no fire, just the same business-as-usual tone that makes you feel like results don't really matter. That change isn't coming. That even when the team looks flat, confused, and unprepared, it's still not bad enough to warrant a different approach. You can feel it in the body language. You can hear it in the press conferences. You can see it in the tape. This isn't a talent problem. It's a mentality problem, a leadership problem, a refusal to evolve. And until that changes, until there's a real willingness to self-assess and self-correct, it won't matter how many weapons are on this roster. It won't matter how many playmakers flash on a given Sunday. Because as long as the culture says stick to the plan, even when the plan is clearly broken, all you're doing is walking into the same brick wall, week after week, hoping it crumbles before you do. You start thinking about the next game, in Foxborough against a Patriots team that's got its own problems, and still, there's this heavy sense of déjà vu. Not because of the matchup, but because of how little is likely to change between now and then. It's not just that the Steelers are banged up or underperforming. It's that there's no visible sign of urgency. No hints that the coaching staff is going to take a hard look in the mirror and actually do something different. Because, let's be honest, if it was going to happen, we would have seen it already. We'd have seen blitzes against Darnold. We'd have seen Warren get more snaps after torching Seattle's front 7. We'd have seen what moved around. We'd have seen some willingness, any willingness to get out of the comfort zone and attack the problem. Instead, what we keep getting is stubborn loyalty. Loyalty to the guys who had good camps. Loyalty to the scheme, even when it's clearly not working. Loyalty to decisions made months ago that seem to outweigh what's happening on the field right now. That's the root of the frustration. That's where hope starts to die. Because it's one thing to lose. It's another thing to lose while actively choosing not to fix what's broken. Take the pass rush. Everyone saw what the Niners did to Seattle last week. They overwhelmed the Seahawks' offensive line, made Darnold uncomfortable, forced errors. Pittsburgh had the same blueprint. They had the same opportunity. And yet, time after time, on 3rd and long, not just 3rd and manageable, but 3rd and 12, 3rd and 15, they dropped back, rushed 4, sat in soft coverage, and let Darnold pick them apart. Why? Why play that conservative? Why take your best player, TJ Watt, and reduce him to a stationary edge presence that teams can simply run away from or scheme out of the play? It doesn't make sense. Unless the goal isn't to win, it's to prove that your original plan wasn't wrong. That kind of thinking doesn't just cost you games. It fractures the culture. Because players know. They see who gets opportunities. They see who gets protected. They know when a guy is out there because he earned it, and when a guy is out there because the staff refuses to admit they made a mistake. That eats at the locker room over time. And that's not speculation. That's just football. That's human nature. Cam Hayward, for example, isn't the problem. He's playing well. You can see it on tape. He's shedding blocks, creating pressure, doing everything he can. But he's not being helped. He's not being supported by the scheme, by the rotation, or by the guys next to him. And when you're constantly cleaning up for others, eventually your play starts to look average, too. People point to stats and say, "Where's the production?" But production in football is often the product of collective effort. And right now, that effort feels fragmented. It's the same story with Watt. You can't dominate games from one edge spot when teams know exactly where you'll be on every snap. You can't make splash plays when the scheme refuses to adjust based on how the offense is attacking you. And when the coaching staff won't move you, won't free you up, won't unleash you the way teams unleash their best players, it's not about ability. It's about stubbornness. It's about letting the opponent dictate terms while you stick to a playbook that's not working. Even the offensive side of the ball has the same disease. For all the talk about being physical, about establishing the run, about pounding defenses into submission, it sure doesn't feel like they believe in their own weapons. You've got a guy in Warren who breaks tackles, who finds space, who gives the offense juice. And yet the reps stay tilted toward Gainwell, who continues to stall drives and kill momentum. What kind of message does that send to the locker room? What are you telling your players when the guy who's clearly producing more still has to wait his turn because the staff is holding on to preseason projections? You want to run the ball? Then use the back who actually punishes defenses. You want to control the line of scrimmage? Then put the 5 best linemen on the field, not just the ones you invested the most draft capital in. That's the hidden cost of pride. It makes you blind to what's right in front of you. And when you let draft decisions and off-season narratives guide your game day choices, you're not coaching. You're just defending your resume. What makes all this even harder to swallow is that fans aren't asking for miracles. They're not demanding perfection. They just want to see growth. They want to see a team that recognizes its flaws and has the guts to address them. But when week after week looks the same mistakes, same rotations, same usage patterns, it becomes clear that results aren't driving decisions. Reputation is. How else do you explain the refusal to adjust coverages? The middle of the field has been wide open for 2 straight games. Offenses are attacking it with ease, hitting those soft spots between linebackers and safeties like they're running a practice script. And yet, no adjustments, no new looks, no shifts in alignment. It's like the coaching staff is waiting for the players to just magically figure it out, rather than giving them help. That's not leadership. That's avoidance. And it's not just hurting the defense. It's killing the morale. You can see in the body language, in the way guys jog off the field, in the lack of urgency on the sideline. That fire, that intensity that's supposed to define Steelers football, it's flickering. And it's not about effort. These guys care. They're giving what they can. But when your leaders won't change, when the plan stays the same no matter what, it chips away at your spirit. It tells the players, this is just who we are, even when who you are isn't good enough. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Exclusive. Rumors are swirling across the NFL landscape as Scary Terry McLaurin appears to have made a shocking move that could shake up the AFC. Sources close to the matter suggest that the star wide receiver, known for his explosive speed and uncanny ability to make defenders look foolish, has reportedly signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers and is already hitting the practice field. The news has not yet been officially confirmed by the team, but insiders say McLaurin's presence at the Steelers facility has been impossible to ignore. Fans and analysts alike are buzzing with speculation about what this move could mean for Pittsburgh's offensive schemes. McLaurin, who has been one of the most reliable and electrifying receivers in recent seasons, would bring an entirely new dimension to a team looking to reclaim dominance in the AFC North. Observers note that his route-running precision and knack for making contested catches could pair perfectly with the Steelers' veteran quarterback, giving the offense a lethal new weapon. Some whispers even suggest that McLaurin's signing could signal a more aggressive approach to free agency for the team, opening the door for further blockbuster moves. Social media erupted almost instantly after rumors of the deal surfaced, with fans expressing everything from sheer excitement to cautious optimism. Scary Terry in black and gold? That's insane, one user wrote. If this is real, the Steelers are suddenly contenders again, tweeted another. Analysts are already debating how McLaurin might fit into Pittsburgh's offensive system, whether he will dominate the slot or become a primary deep threat, and how defenses will have to adjust to contain his explosive playmaking ability. While the details remain murky, training reports indicate that McLaurin has been working closely with the Steelers' coaching staff, running drills and building chemistry with the offense. Sources describe a sense of quiet determination surrounding him, as though he's ready to take on a new chapter of his career with a chip on his shoulder. Whether this is a temporary flurry of activity or the start of a transformational era for Pittsburgh, one thing is certain. The NFL rumor mill has rarely been this electrifying. As fans wait for official confirmation, all eyes are on Heinz Field, wondering just how Scary Terry will leave his mark in black and gold. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.